Hey friends, there are a lot of gotchas inside of Google Ads that typically will benefit Google's wallet and not yours. And in today's video, I want to share with you some of the top ones that I see as I'm setting up a campaign in Google Ads. If we haven't met yet, my name is Scott Redgate. I've been managing Google Ads campaigns since 2010. And the purpose of this channel is to help you make more and spend less in your online marketing campaigns and give you the confidence that you need that you can manage your own digital marketing campaigns without hiring an expensive agency to do it for you. Hey, if you're looking to save thousands of dollars in your Google Ads account, make sure to grab my free PPC cost cutting cheat sheet. You can get it at scottredgate.com/cheat sheet, and I'll leave a link in the description below. All right, friends, let me share with you some of the gotchas that you need to look out for in Google Ads as you're setting up your account, you're creating campaigns, and these are typically things that will tend to benefit Google's wallet and not yours. Not always, but usually that is the case. Okay, so the first thing that you need to look out for is when you are creating a search campaign, one of the first sections that you'll get to is this network section. And you'll see the option to include the Google search partners and also include the display network. Now, I have a whole video on the Google search partners that goes into the weeds on it, but typically I do not recommend including the Google search partners when you're first starting out. So the question is, what is the Google search partners? Well, sometimes it's lower quality search engines like perhaps an AOL.com that use Google search as their backbone. Sometimes the Google search partners can include YouTube and several other placements. And so from my experience, the results that you'll get on the Google search partner network is not as strong as the standard Google search network. You want to make sure that you can drive profitable results on the top tier network, which is just Google search, before you start expanding your reach to some of these search partners like YouTube and AOL.com and some of those other search engines. All right, so the next thing that you need to look out for is the display network, which when you're first creating a search campaign, it is set to include by default. I'm not opposed to the display network. I've run a lot of successful prospecting and also retargeting campaigns on the display network, but usually I recommend keeping search and display separate. And the reason I say that is because the metrics that you will see from the search and the display network are completely different. So for example, on the search network, you might receive a click-through rate of something like 5%. Whereas on the display network, you might be capped to seeing something like a 1% click-through rate. The intent of both of these networks is usually different. And so the metrics will be different with both of these placements, the search network and the display network. Now, there's some debate in terms of the quality score, which is can impact your ad rank and how much you actually pay for your clicks, that it's not good to include both search and display network because one of the elements of quality score is having a high click-through rate. And so if you're combining and mushing these two networks together, your click-through rate could suffer as a result. Again, I recommend keeping these separate and not including the display network in your search campaign setup. The next thing that you need to look out for in Google Ads is your optimization score. All right, so this is in the recommendations tab in Google Ads, and you'll find a lot of recommendations that Google will throw your way. And not all these recommendations are bad. I mean, there's going to be a lot of them that are actually good and you'll want to consider. But the whole thing with optimization score is basically a marketing tactic from Google, because it doesn't matter whether you accept a recommendation or if you dismiss a recommendation, your optimization score will go up whether you accept or dismiss it. It's basically saying that you've recognized this is a potential change that you could make, and it doesn't matter if you accept or dismiss it, your optimization score will go up as a result. So in other words, you could go into this recommendation setting and dismiss every single recommendation and watch your score go up to 100% as a result. Now, there's a common misconception between optimization score and quality score. They are completely different. The quality score of your account is important. And that's determined at auction time. So the quality score is based off things like how good is your landing page, your expected click-through rate, how good your ad is. And so that is something that you will want to focus on. But your optimization score is essentially a gimmick, but I would recommend taking a look at some of the recommendations to see if they make sense for your business, but don't obsess over your optimization score. The next gotcha that you have to avoid like the plague is auto apply recommendations, okay? Again, I've done a whole video on auto apply recommendations, but personally, I have experienced nothing but bad things from auto apply recommendations. With auto apply recommendations, you're giving Google the keys to the kingdom to make almost every single change possible, except changing your budget. All right, so let me give you a specific example of what happens with auto apply recommendations. In one of the accounts that I was working with, we had a standard retargeting campaign set up where we were showing ads to people that had previously interacted with the business. And so it was a good campaign, the cost per click was relatively cheap, and it was driving strong results. Well, this particular client had auto apply recommendations enabled. And what happened as a result of this was instead of having a standard retargeting campaign, Google automatically turned it into a prospecting campaign to find people that Google thought resembled that audience. So a once successful campaign targeting people that had interacted with that brand's website had become a prospecting campaign, and a bad one at that. I would strongly advise you to turn off auto apply recommendations unless they are strictly reporting recommendations, but I would not allow Google to go in and make changes on your behalf. I've been doing Google ads for a long time, and even though auto apply recommendations is relatively new, was introduced in the past few years, I have not seen one example where auto apply recommendations worked out in the account's benefit. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is optimized targeting. And so if you're a small or medium-sized business, and especially if you're in a particular niche, optimized targeting will go beyond the targeting settings that you have introduced into an account. So let's use that retargeting example as we talked about with auto apply recommendations. Let's say you have a retargeting campaign and you want to target people that have been to your website but didn't convert. Maybe they didn't check out or they didn't fill out the lead form. If you have optimized targeting enabled, Google will go beyond that setting and start targeting people beyond just the audience you select. And so for big brands, this might not be a big deal because there could be enough data for Google to use to find people that truly could be a potential customer for you. But for small brands, this could lead to a lot of problems because if you were intending to target a very small specific audience and you have optimized targeting set up, you might find yourself that you spent the majority of your budget on people outside of that audience that aren't even potential target customers for you. And so this is something that in the beginning and for most accounts that I work with, I recommend turning off. And if you've been running the campaign for a while and it's been doing really, really well and you're a big brand and you're just looking to expand your reach a little bit further, that would be the only time that I would recommend turning optimized targeting on and going beyond your targeting settings. All right, so next up is in the location settings of a campaign. You've got presence or interest versus presence. Presence or interest is people regularly in, or who have shown interest in your targeted locations, whereas presence is people in or regularly in your targeted locations. Let's say, for example, you have a local HVAC company, and let's say you have presence or interest selected. Well, potentially in this scenario, you could have your ad showing to people that are just looking to vacation or travel to your particular area and not necessarily people who are in or regularly in your location. So if you're looking to have a very efficient campaign, this could be one setting that you want to watch out for because you want to mostly target the people that are in or around your business or your service area. And if you have presence or interest set up, it could even be outside of your country in some scenarios. So you'll want to watch out for this and select presence as the default. Okay, so those were some of the top gotchas that I typically look out for when I'm creating a campaign inside of Google Ads. And let me know in the comments below, are there any other gotchas that you look out for as you're creating a campaign inside of Google Ads that you feel like benefits Google compared to actually benefiting you, the advertiser? Hey, I hope that video was helpful for you. Could you do me a favor? Could you like this video or subscribe to my channel? It will really help me out in my mission to help a lot of small businesses save money and do more with less in their online marketing campaigns. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.